Friday Fairytales with me, Mrs. Wilson.
Hi, I'm about to see the Emperor. Do you think he'll like this beautiful fabric?
The Emperor's New Clothes. Once there was an emperor who was very vain. The only thing he cared about was his wardrobe of beautiful clothes. All day long the emperor tried on handsome new outfits and admired his reflection in the royal mirror. Weavers from his kingdom eagerly waited in line to show their finest cloth to the emperor. They knew he would pay them well for suits made from their best fabrics. Two tricksters from a neighbouring kingdom heard about the vain emperor and hurried to the palace. The two of them had a plan. They would fool the emperor out of his gold and be rich for the rest of their lives. At a meeting with the emperor, one trickster claimed, "We make the finest fabric in the land. In fact, our fabric is so unbelievably wonderful, you could even say it is magical, since it can be seen only by the very wise." The emperor was excited. Soon he would have the most wonderful clothes in the land, and he would know which of his subjects were wise and which were fools. "I must have the suit of this extraordinary fabric made for me at once," exclaimed the emperor. He paid the two men in gold to begin their weaving. The tricksters set up their looms in the royal weaving room. Then they pushed the shuttles hard for hours on end. The work made them sweat and frown, but they did not lace one bit of silk thread through the looms. The two only pretended to be making beautiful new fabric. Meanwhile, the emperor could think of nothing but the splendid new cloth. He was eager to visit the weaving room, yet he worried about the cloth's magical power. "What if I am not wise enough to see it?" he wondered. The emperor decided to send his wisest minister instead. "Come back to me with a full report," the emperor instructed. When the tricksters pretended to hold up the new cloth, the minister's heart skipped a beat. "Oh my," he thought, "I see nothing at all." But the minister did not want the emperor to know that he was not wise. "I will see to it that you get even more gold for the wonderful work you have done," said the minister, "and I will advise the emperor to come see the fabric for himself." The emperor heard the minister's report and was delighted. He went straight to the weaving room with his most trusted courtiers. Again, the tricksters were pushing their shuttles back and forth across the looms. When the courtiers saw this, each one was taken by surprise. Not one of them could see any cloth, for there was none to be seen. "Aren't the colours and patterns wonderful?" asked the minister, who had been there before. "Indeed," remarked the courtiers. They all nervously agreed that this fabric was most exquisite. Now it was the emperor's turn to be worried. "I see no cloth at all, not even a single thread," he thought to himself. "It seems that everyone else in my kingdom sees the material. Could it be that I am a simpleton? That I am unfit to be an emperor?" At that moment, one of the tricksters suggested the emperor come take a closer look. "Your Highness, we have yet to hear if you like our handiwork," he said. The emperor knew better than to admit he saw nothing. Instead, he proclaimed that he would wear a suit made from the fantastic cloth in the next royal procession. "Begin the sewing at once," he commanded. That night, as many candles burned, the tricksters snipped and sewed, pretending to make the new suit. One trickster used his huge scissors to cut imaginary pieces of fabric in the emperor's size. The other carefully sewed the invisible pieces together. Of course, there was no thread in the needle that he used. When morning came, the tricksters announced that the suit of clothes was ready. While one trickster pretended to fasten a pair of pants on the emperor, the other asked the emperor to stand still. "I do not want to stick you with my needle," he warned as he pretended to sew one last button on the invisible cape. "You know," the emperor remarked nervously, "this fabric feels lighter than air." "Indeed, it's so light it feels as if you have nothing on," replied one of the tricksters. "This, of course, is the beauty of our fine cloth." Feeling much better, the emperor took one more look in the royal mirror. "It truly is my finest suit ever," he said. The emperor paid the two tricksters their last purse full of gold coins. Then he announced that it was time for the royal procession to begin. Now that the tricksters had made their fortune, there was no reason for them to stay at the palace any longer. They packed up their gold, then they made their way down the back roads of the kingdom, never to be seen again. Soon, the townsfolk began to gather for the royal procession. They had heard about the emperor's new clothes, and they pushed and shoved one another to get the very best view. Each one was eager to find out who among them was wise and who was not. At last the trumpets sounded. As the emperor marched through the streets, the townspeople were shocked. Never before had they seen their emperor clad only in his underwear, but each one wanted to appear wise, so they began talking loudly to one another about the emperor's clothes. "Look at the beautiful pants he is wearing. Isn't that an enchanting cape? Did you ever see such a fine jacket?" they called. The success of his new suit made the emperor feel very proud. He waved to the crowd and walked a bit more slowly, hoping to hear even more. That is, until one little girl called out, "Look! The emperor has no clothes! He's walking through town without a shirt or a cape! He's not even wearing trousers!" "The child is right," whispered a few in the crowd. Soon word spread and the truth was out. The townsfolk began laughing and agreeing with the little girl. "The emperor has no clothes!" they shouted. "The emperor has no clothes!" The emperor knew at once that his subjects were telling the truth. Unfortunately for the emperor, he was ruled more by vanity and pride than common sense. So he insisted on marching in his underwear until his royal procession was finally done. Then the emperor hurried towards the palace. He hoped his subjects would soon forget how foolish he had been. Well, he loved the gold fabric, so I've made him a suit.